This is Chapter 2, first chapter of the year, Lesson 2.1. The first thing we're going to look at is what a definition is. A definition is a statement that clarifies or explains the meaning of a word or phrase. Now, in geometry, we start with three undefined terms. These are terms so basic that it's tough to define them without using the other of the two, any other of the three words. So we can start with point, line, and plane. That's the basis of all geometry. Now, a point is a basic unit in geometry. It's infinitely small and has only location. I'll make a point P to the right there. So point P, although it looks like it has a little bit of width and a little bit of height, it is actually infinitely small. It's so small that you can't actually see it. So in geometry, we just represent it with a dot, but it's not actually that big. Now, a line is an arrangement of points. So if I take a whole bunch of points, like so, they'll eventually go in a straight line. Now, line, I'll have to take this, and a line goes in both directions forever. So it's a straight arrangement, meaning it keeps going in one direction, or keeps going in both directions forever. There we go. Now it should be alright. Alright, and what this line is it's actually an infinite amount of points on this line. Because points are infinitely small, this has no height. That line is actually so infinitely thin that we actually can't even see it. But we represent it with a line so we know where it's at. A plane is a flat surface that has length and height, but no thickness. We can represent the plane like this. Where it has length and height, but it's so thin it actually doesn't exist. But we'll represent it like that. And sometimes it's represented like that. So these are examples of a plane. It's just like a flat sheet of paper, but it's like a sheet of paper so thin that it doesn't exist. It's just and it goes in all directions, up, down, left, and right, but it has no thickness. Now, if we want to name a line, like this line here, there's two ways we can name it. This is line TV, and we have to show that it's a line and it's going to go in both directions forever. So we make a line on top with an arrow on both ends. We could also name this line VT. These are both acceptable names for this line. Now this line we can name CA. We could name it AC. We could name it AT. We could name it TA. We could name it CT. Or we could name it TC. The one thing that we cannot name it is CAT or TAC. A line is only represented with two capital letters. So we cannot name this with any more than two letters. Lines are just designated with 2 letters. Now, collinear points are 2 or more points that lie on the same line. If I wanted to make an example, I could draw my line here. Gotta put one more. Oop. Here we go. Now it should have both sides. Wonderful. So collinear points, we could have 3 points on the same line. C, A, B. Those 3 points are collinear points. A and B are collinear, A and C are collinear. All you need is 2 to be collinear. Coplanar points are 2 or more points that lie on the same plane. So if I have a plane here, I could have A, B, and C. Now space is the set of all points. So space would be our 3-dimensional space. So anything in our 3-dimensional world, we could put a point on, and since space is all the dimensions that we can understand, that includes all of the points. So a line segment is 2 points and all the points between them that lie on the same line. So let's see what that means. If we have this point, call it A, this point, call it B, and if we want to fill in all of the points in between them, we can just use this. There we go. Those are all the points between A and B. Now there's 2 ways we can name this line segment. We can say this is AB. Now we're not going to want to put arrows on the end because they don't go forever to the right and forever to the left. So we'll just have AB with segments on top. And here we'll have BA with a segment on top. Now, if we want to find 4 ways to show that a line segment from A to B is 5 centimeters long, our first one, we can say measure of AB equals 5 centimeters long. We could also say measure of BA is 5 centimeters long. We could also just say AB equals 5 centimeters. And we could say BA equals 5 centimeters. 4 different ways to say the same exact thing. Now, if we want to write all the possible names for this line segment, we have KD, and we have DK. Those are the only 2 names we have then. And if we want to write all the possible names for this segment, we have NT or TN. Now a ray is a part of a line that begins at a point and goes forever in one direction. So I'm going to start a point here, and then in one direction I'm going to go down here forever. So we can name this point AF. Now the ray is going to be named AF like this. Now the point where the ray starts is always on the left-hand side when we're naming it. And then F, of course, would have to be on the right-hand side. Notice we draw, starting from A, goes through F with an arrow. Now the part that's confusing about this is if by chance I drew the ray in the other direction. How about I just draw another one over here? I'll go this. We'll name this point B, G. Now we cannot name this GB some people try to do this, and it's wrong. Or they'll try to say GB like that, and that's wrong. What you want to do is you start with the point B, and you go through G, and your arrow moves like that. Alright, so if we want to write all the possible names for this one, we have AB, and a line passing through like so. If we have this, just like I said before, we start at Z, pass through R, it should look like so. Now the possible names for this ray, we could start at V, we could say VX, we could say VF, but we couldn't do it the other way. And we couldn't say XF because XF would start here and it wouldn't be the full ray. So these are the only two names we could use to name this ray. Now an angle is two rays that share a common endpoint, provided the two rays don't lie on the same line. So we'll start with an endpoint, and from that endpoint, I'm going to draw two rays. Now we'll name this, let's say B, A, D. Now when we're going to label a angle, notice that this angle is measuring the distance between these two rays. So we have angle B, A, D. So we start at B, we go down to A, and then back to D. Or else we can say that same angle is DAB. The vertex is the common endpoint of the two rays. So if I start with my vertex, now the sides are these two rays. Those we'll just call the sides. They're the two rays of the angle. Now let's list all the possible names for this angle. Well, we'll start with our angle sign, RVS. Notice that the vertex has to be in the middle. And then we have SVR. Now, give one name for each angle. Well, we can call this one RGS. We could call this one RGD. This one on the bottom, DGR. Oh, that's an R, that's an S. DGS. I apologize. Alright, give one name for angles 1, 2, and 3. For angle 1, looks like it's ACB. For angle ACD. Over here, angle 2 would be DEF. And angle 3 would be CGH. Angle CGH. Now, if we have an angle DEC, we know C is the vertex. So if we want to do another name for it, this would be just CEC. Alright, that's our lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Good luck with the homework.